Hey guys, good evening. I hope you are having a very good day. So, my name is Siva Prasad, and I'm going to be starting a new series on NCRT for covering your science and technology portions. So, if you have seen the present or the recent UPSC Civil Services Prelims examination, a significant number of questions related to the basic concepts have been asked, right? And the current paper has also clearly established the fact that these monthly magazines are not as useful as they used to be. Their utility over the period of time has significantly come down. So you are being tested on conceptual aspects, on the basic aspects. So that is what I'm going to cover. I understand a lot of students who are going to be watching these videos in the subsequent times, they might not have a science background. So that is the reason we are going to start right from class 6th NCRT. Right from the very basics, I'm going to be starting our session on science and technology. Alright. So without wasting much time, so let us try to start today's session. So as I told you, from the very scratch, so that means I am accepting the fact that you have no prerequisites. I'm expecting that you don't have any prerequisites. You don't know anything about science and technology. Right from class 6 we are starting. So here we go from the very scratch. So as you know, we classify organisms based on the sources of food. Right? You are aware of this. For example, you might have heard about herbivorous animals. Herbivorous animals are animals that eat plants, right? For example, we have deer, zebra, etc. Then there are some animals we classify as carnivorous animals. These are animals that eat other animals. For example, we have lion, tiger, etc. Then we have omnivorous animals, animals that are capable of eating both animals and plants. For example, crow can eat both animals and plants. Then we have humans, we are capable of eating both animals and plants. Alright? So this is, as you can see, from the very scratch. So we are eating food. Food, as you know, it contains components that are needed for our body. These are called as nutrients. Okay, I will be discussing about major nutrients. Right, this is very important with respect to your agricultural subject also, that I'll be discussing in the future classes that I'm going to be uploading on YouTube. So food, as you know, it contains components that are needed for our body. These components are called as nutrients. There are some nutrients that are required in large quantities by our body. There are some nutrients that are required in minor amounts by our body. Okay, so nutrients that are required in large quantities by our body, these are classified as major nutrients. Okay, so what are the major nutrients that our body requires and that significantly forms a part of our food? We have something called as carbohydrates. I will be telling you why each of these so-called nutrients are required by the body. All right. We have carbohydrates, we have proteins, we have fats, we have vitamins, and we have various minerals. Okay. Food, as you know, other than these, it also has contained something called as dietary fibers. Okay. And then it also contains a lot of water that is required by our body. Alright. So let's try to understand, what do various nutrients do for our body? Why do we need to consume these nutrients? Why do we need major nutrients? Why do we need minor nutrients? How do carbohydrates help us? How do protein help us? How do fats help us? Right? Let's start with carbohydrates. Okay? Carbohydrates provide energy, right? So you are performing various activities, so for that energy is required, right? Every single cell in your body is performing so many amount of activities. For that you require energy. This kind of energy can be gathered from your carbohydrates. For example, if you eat rice, rice is supposed to be rich in carbohydrates. Okay, then the next major constituent of our food are called as fats, right? Fats also, remember, they provide energy. Just like carbohydrates, fat also provide energy. In fact, you will be very surprised to know that fats provide more energy than carbohydrates. Right? Just try to remember this small fact. They could ask you this in one of the statements in the prelims examination. Remember, you will be very surprised to know that one direct question from class 8 NCRT about the difference between the animal cell and plant cell was asked. A few questions directly from biology textbook of class 12 have been asked in this year's examination. Alright, so I'll be discussing all of them, and I will be discussing previous questions also simultaneously when I discuss these topics. Then we have vitamin A. This is another major nutrient. Remember, vitamin A ensures healthy eyes and healthy skin. If you go to eye doctor, etc., they often ask you to consume a lot of fish. Right? Fish is very rich in vitamin A. Vitamin A is required for having a very healthy eyes. Okay. Other than that, milk is also rich in vitamin A, and we have carrots that are rich in vitamin A. Alright. Next is vitamin C. Vitamin C is effective for boosting your immune system, right? It helps you fight against diseases. All right. So if you see recently in our fight against coronavirus, what are people asking you to take? They are asking you to take a lot of vitamin tablets, zinc tablets, etc. What is the reason behind that? We would like to boost our immunity. Okay. So vitamin C is very essential for fighting against diseases. It is helpful for boosting your immune system. All right. So where all do we get vitamin C? As you can see, lemon, orange, etc. These are all citrus fruits. Okay. These are good sources of vitamin C. Even tomato has vitamin C. Then we have something called as vitamin D. This helps body use calcium for making bones and tooth. Okay. So calcium use करके what all are made? Your bones are made of calcium. Your tooth are made of calcium. For this, remember, your body has to use the calcium that is present to make bones and to make tooth, right? You have to use them to strengthen your bones and tooth. For this, vitamin D is very, very helpful. Where can you get good vitamin D? You get it in fish, you get it in buttermilk, you also get it from eggs. Okay. And finally, we will talk about proteins. Proteins are very essential for bodybuilding. Okay, they are essential for your growth, for building of your body. What are the good sources of proteins? We have eggs, we have paneer, we have fish, we have soya bean, etc. All right. Other than this, remember I told you about something called as dietary fibers. Okay, dietary fibers are also called as roughages. Where all do you get good sources of fibers? You have pulses, potatoes, vegetables, fruits, etc. These are dietary fibers. Remember, the dietary fibers, or what are we calling as roughages, they don't provide any extra nutrient to our body. So just like fats are providing you energy, carbohydrates are providing energy, vitamin A is responsible for LDI, C is responsible for fighting diseases. Like this, dietary fibers are not providing any nutrients to the body. But however, remember, they are a very important component of your balanced diet, of your food. Why? Because dietary fibers, they help our body get rid of undigested food. Okay? So whatever undigested food that we have in our body, those have to be excreted out. For that, dietary fibers are very, very important. In case you don't have enough of dietary fibers, you suffer from a condition that is called as constipation. That means you are unable to get rid of undigested food from your body. Okay, so if you're naturally not taking a lot of dietary fibers, which is a part of your diet, automatically you'll suffer from this condition. This is not very good, because remember that the products that you're supposed to be excrete out, if it stays back inside your body, it is very toxic for your body. So that is the reason usually the doctors, etc., they end up giving you laxatives. Okay, so you can avoid all this condition, especially because of sedentary lifestyle. This is becoming a part of our everyday problem that generally youth and people of the country are reporting to their doctors. So one good way is to enhance the intake of dietary fibers. You can consume a lot of vegetables, consume a lot of fruits, pulses, potatoes, etc. Right? Okay. Along the same lines, remember, if you go to a doctor for any problem, you go to a doctor. They have this habit of telling you that consume a lot of water, right? Why are they focusing on that? Remember, water helps in absorbing important nutrients from the food. So whatever important nutrients like carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, etc. are there, for your body to be able to intake these nutrients from the food, water is very, very crucial. Okay, water, remember, is also a roughage. Water helps throw out excess waste from the body in the form of urine and in the form of sweat. Okay, for both these reasons, water is very, very important. That's why people tell you drink at least 3+ liters of water per day. Okay, all right. So if you remember, I told you about different kind of nutrients. Okay, and what their role is in building our body, in fighting against diseases, making bones, etc. So you see, excess of anything is very bad. If you take too much amount of carbohydrates, if you have too much amount of fats, for example, this will result in obesity, etc. Right? If you have too much of these nutrients, that is also not very good for our body. Okay? So that's why we focus on something called as balanced diet. Okay? Diet that contains all the necessary nutrients, that is macronutrients plus micronutrients, or major nutrients plus minor nutrients. It has in the right quantities. Okay, so this is what we call as a balanced diet. Remember, if you eat too much amount of fat, this will result in obesity, and in fact, if you take too less of these nutrients, this will result in something called as deficiency diseases. Alright, so I will be talking about the deficiency diseases. Long time ago, UPSC asked a direct question from this small chart in the match the following kind of question was asked long time ago. Right, so let's talk about deficiency diseases. That means what happens to your body if you consume less of vitamin A, less of vitamin B, less of vitamin C, less of vitamin D, less of calcium, less of iodine, and less of iron. Alright, so if you see, as I told you, vitamin A, I told you this is very, very crucial for your eyes. For having a healthy eye and healthy skin, vitamin A is very, very crucial. And I told you a good source of vitamin A is your fish, right? So if your body gets less of vitamin A, then what happens? This will eventually result in loss of vision. Okay? Initially, you might have poor eyesight, poor vision. There will be loss of vision in the darkness. This is called as night blindness. A lot of movies have been made using this concept, right? During the night, you lose sight of everything. That is night blindness. Okay. Sometimes it could also result in complete loss of vision. That means completely you are not able to see anything anymore. Okay. This is what happens when you have a deficiency of vitamin B. Then let's talk about vitamin B. It results in a deficiency disease or a disorder. This is called as beriberi. Okay. This results in weak muscles and there is very little energy to work. Okay, so that means you feel energyless. Your muscles are very weak. You don't feel like undertaking any kind of activity, right? You are too weak to do anything. You have very little energy for carrying out any kind of work. This results because your body is deficient in vitamin B. Then we talk about vitamin C. Vitamin C, deficiency of vitamin C, less amount of vitamin C in your body, it results in something called as scurvy. What happens in scurvy? The gums start to bleed, right? The gums, they start to bleed. The wounds, they take longer time to heal. If you are having any kind of wounds, you will see over the period of time, platelets aggregate over there and the wound is fixed. But if you have this deficiency of vitamin C, it results in something called as scurvy. In case of scurvy, all your wounds, they take longer time to heal. Okay. Then we have vitamin D deficiency. This results in something called as rickets. Remember, I told you why is vitamin D required? So that calcium can be utilized by our body to make your tooth and to make your bones. So automatically, if there is a deficiency of vitamin D, you will see that your bones, they become soft. They become so soft that the bones, they become easily bent. Okay, this is not a very good condition. Then we have something called as calcium, right? If you have a deficiency of calcium, this will result in bone and tooth decay. Okay, remember, calcium is very crucial for making bones and very crucial for making your tooth. So in case your diet lacks enough amount of calcium, this will result in tooth decay and bone decay. It will result in weak bones. It will result in tooth decay. Alright. Then finally, we have deficiency of iodine. If you have seen all the salt etc. that you purchase nowadays, it always has iodized salt, right? That's a way of fortification of your food. They are adding little bit amounts of iodine so that you are having enough intake of iodine. So if there is a deficiency of iodine, it results in something called as goiter. Okay? Goiter is basically there are these glands in the neck. They appear to be swollen. You might have seen this in a lot of people also. Their neck, यहाँ का जो region है, the glands over here, it appears to be swollen. That condition is called as goiter. And also in children, mental disability is witnessed. Okay. Then finally, we have the last of the nutrient, that is iron. Okay. When your body is deficient in iron, it results in a condition that is called as anemia. Anemia results in general weakness of the body. Okay, you might have seen very, very weak people. They might be suffering from something called as anemia. Okay, that's why as a part of government programs and all, folic acid, iron supplements are given to especially girls and also to boys. Okay, Sabla, Saksham, etc. You might have heard about some of the common schemes. Okay, we give them folic acid, we give them iron supplements. Alright, this is to help them overcome this problem of anemia. So these are all deficiency disorders. That means when your body is deficient in any one of the above said nutrients, what happens is you develop this something called as deficiency diseases. Alright. So vitamin A, deficiency of vitamin A results in loss of vision, vitamin B results in beriberi disease, vitamin C in scurvy, vitamin D in rickets, calcium in bone and tooth decay, iodine results in goiter, and iron results in anemia. Okay, I hope you can remember this small picture from here, and also you can pick this up from your class 6th NCERT. Alright. Let us now try to move forward. We understood a little bit about humans, what balanced diets are. let us try to know a little bit about plants. Okay, as I told you, this is very basic stuff. Over the period of time, on these concepts I will be building more. We will be talking about pollination and things like that eventually as we move to class 7 NCERT. Alright, so let's talk about knowing plants right now. Herbs. Plants with green and tender stems are called as herbs. Okay, just show you a picture. This is an example of a herb. How do you classify them? As you can see, these are green leaves. Okay, the plants with green leaves, they have green leaves, obviously, that is common for trees also, but then they have a green and a tender stem. Look at this, look at their stem. This is the stem, right? This stem is not only green in color, okay, it is also very weak, right? It is very tender. You can easily mold it and you can easily break it also. Okay, they are usually short. So as you can see, this is very short, chota sa hai. Okay, and they may not have many branches. Okay, this is how you find a herb. Okay, next we have something called as shrubs. Remember, this year significant number of questions were asked from agriculture, so you should know the difference between herb, shrub and trees. Shrubs kya hai? Shrubs are basically plants. They have stem branching out near the base. Okay, look at this. This is an example of a shrub. Okay, look at this. What is happening? How did I describe? Plants have stem branching out near the base. This is their base. Here you are branching out, that is. Okay, so this is called as a herb. Remember, the stem is very hard, but it is not very thick. So if you compare to herbs, the stem is thicker than that you get to see in herbs. But nevertheless, you see, it is not very thick also. If you compare it to a tree, obviously its stem is not as thick as a tree. Such plants are called as shrubs. Then obviously we have trees. You know what trees are. Some plants, they are very tall and have hard and thick brown stems. The stems have branches in the upper parts much above the ground. Such plants are called as trees. Alright, so this is an example of tree. Of course, you have see trees all around you, okay? But you need to remember what herbs are and what shrubs are. Please don't confuse them. Some of the medicinal plants are herbs. You should remember which of them are herbs and which of them are shrubs, okay? So as far as our biology aspect is concerned, these two are different entities, alright? Okay. Then there will be some plants that have very weak stems. See, these cannot even stand upright. So what they end up doing, they start spreading on the ground. Okay, like this, in the ground only they start spreading. These don't rise up. Okay, these are creeping on the ground. So therefore these are called as creepers. Okay, there are some of these creepers, there are some of these plants. What they do is they cannot grow on their own, but they take support of the neighboring structures. For example, this is a structure, upright structure. This plant is taking the help of the neighboring structure and it is starting to climb around the structure. Such plants are called as climbers. Okay, so one is creepers. Remember, creepers are always on the ground, they don't climb up. Climbers, they take the support of some other external entity, some neighboring structure, and they start to climb up. These are called as climbers. Alright, okay, let us now quickly talk about different parts of the plant. Right, we have stem. Okay, clearly from here you can see this part is called as the stem. Okay, stem, remember, it has some specialized tissues, vascular bundle. It is called as xylem. I will be talking about it when I take up the higher classes NCERTs with you. The presence of this xylem ensures that stem is capable of conducting water. Okay, remember, water is picked up by the stem, by the roots. From the roots, it has to be taken to each and every single cell in the plant, because water is required for the process called as photosynthesis. I will be talking about it very soon. Right, the food, the plants have to make their own food. The process through which they make their own food is called as photosynthesis. Right, for this process of photosynthesis, you will see that water is an essential constituent. Water is required. So this water has to be transported from the roots to every single leaf. So this work is done by the stem. Alright, stem has these specialized tissues called as xylem that is responsible for conducting water from the roots to different parts of the plant. Okay, the water and minerals, they go to leaves and other plant parts attached to the stem through narrow tubes inside the stem. Okay, that's what we call as xylem. Alright, similarly, remember, the food is made in the leaf. Right, from here to every single part of the plant, the food has to be transported so that they can carry out their own functions. This work is also done by the stem. They have something else over there. It is called as phloem. Phloem is responsible for transporting food from leaf to the rest of the plant. Okay, alright, I hope everything is clear till here. Let us move to the next aspect, that is the leaf, right? The part of a leaf by which it is attached to, it is called as petiole. Okay, everybody knows what is a leaf. As you can see, this, etc. These are examples of a leaf. This is where the preparation of food takes place. All right. Okay. So leaf, the part of leaf by which it is attached to stem is called as petiole. So this part, if you can see over here, this part, this is the part that is attached to the stem. This part is called as petiole. Okay. If you see this part, the broad green part of a leaf, okay, this part that is visible to you, broad green part, this is often referred to as lamina. Okay, these are technical terminologies. Okay, these are terminologies you are picking up from 6th standard NCERT. So UPSC would expect you that you would be knowing these terms, right? So they can give this term lamina as a part of the statement, and you might feel like, oh my god, I have not heard about lamina. But remember, this is something very, very basic, so basic enough that you are able to pick it up from the 6th standard NCERT. Alright, okay. Let's now talk about other aspects of leaf. The lines on the leaf, they are called as veins. Okay, can you see this? Actually, these lines. Okay, this one, the middle one. Okay, middle of the leaf, this one I'm drawing thicker. This is actually called as a midrib. Okay, from the midrib, as you can see, just like you have veins, etc. So you have these branching of these veins. These veins that I have drawn over here, these are called as veins. Okay. These lines, actually, these are called as veins, while this central line is called as midrib. Okay, you have to remember these names. All right. So depending on the design of the veins, the way these veins are, okay, so you classify them differently. Okay, the design made by the veins is called as leaf venation. So as you can see, this leaf is more designed like this. As you can see, designed like this. If you look at this leaf is designed like this. All right. So this leaf design, it is called as leaf venation. Alright, the design made by veins in the leaf is called as leaf venation. If the design is net-like on both sides of midrib, this is called as reticulate. Okay? For example, this is called as reticulate. Alright. If the veins are parallel to one another, see in this case, the veins are running like this. They are parallel to one another. This is called as parallel venation. Okay? Just try to remember, venation means design of a leaf. Okay? Design made by veins in the leaf. Alright. Let us talk about various functions performed in the leaf. As I told you, photosynthesis occurs in the leaf. Okay? Leaves, as you know, if you remember plants are classified as autotrophs. Autotrophs. Autotrophs means plants are capable of making their own food. So whatever nutrient requirement of the plants are, those are captured by the plant through the process of photosynthesis. Okay, they are not dependent on any other animals for their food. For example, we are dependent on plants and animals. So plants are not dependent on anyone else for their food. They are capable of making their own food through the process that is called as photosynthesis. Okay, leaves, they prepare the food in the presence of sunlight. Okay, see, name me, we have photosynthesis. Photo means light. This is a process that takes place in the presence of sunlight. Okay, so what happens is there is this green color substance, green colored pigment that is present in the leaves. It is called as chlorophyll. Okay, this chlorophyll is responsible for imparting green color to the plants. Alright, green color to the leaf. For this, they use water and carbon dioxide from air. This process is called as photosynthesis. Okay, what is happening in the process of photosynthesis? Remember, in the presence of sunlight, carbon dioxide that is present in the air, and water, H2O, that is water. Okay, so this is provided from the leaves. Okay, so using this, food is produced. Okay, what exactly is this food? I will tell you in a few more minutes. How this food is consumed by the plant, etc. I will be telling you in a few more minutes. Okay, so using this for now, let's just generally call this as food. Food is synthesized by the leaf, okay, through this process that is called as photosynthesis. This food, remember, some of this food is consumed right away because the plant is also undertaking so many activities, right? The plant also has to grow. It is doing so many functions, right? It is transporting water, transporting food. All these things require energy. Some of the food, it gets consumed in these activities. On the other hand, there are some amount of food that is excess, that is left over. Remember, the food has to be stored by the plant. Okay, food prepared by the leaves, it is stored in different parts of the plant, and it is stored in the form of something called as starch. Okay, what exactly is starch? Starch is how basically excess food from the plant is stored. All right. Then let's talk about, and also in your NCRTs, and if you have studied your 6th NCRT properly, or in your school if you remember it, there is one test that we do. It is called as an iodine test. Using this, we are able to establish whether this plant has starch or not. Okay? For example, let's say you pluck a leaf, okay, and you kept the leaf for 5-6 days without touching it. So as you know, it is not a part of the plant, it does not have access to water, etc. So clearly the process of photosynthesis is not taking place. Since photosynthesis has not taken place, so energy food has not been produced. Excess food is stored in the form of starch. So that means in this particular leaf that you have plucked, okay, imagine this is the leaf that you have plucked, you will see that there should be no starch, right? There should be no starch, right? So you do something called as an iodine test. So what you do is you pour iodine on this particular leaf. You will see that it does not turn into blue-black color. Okay. So what happens in an iodine test? If you have a leaf and the leaf has starch, this iodine test, the iodine will turn into blue-black color. If the iodine does not turn into blue-black color, that means starch is absent. If starch is absent, that means the leaf has not been making food. Okay? The leaf has not making food. That means photosynthesis is not taking place. Alright? Next, let me explain to you one more concept. It is called as transpiration. Okay? What is transpiration? Water comes out of leaves in the form of water vapor. This is by a process that is called as transpiration. Okay, let me just explain what happens. This is a tall tree. There are branches. Okay. In these branches, you see there are leaves. Okay. In these there are leaves. From these leaves, remember, water droplets are coming out. This water droplets gets evaporated in the form of water vapor. Okay, so that means leaves are losing water. This process is called as transpiration. Okay, this process is called as transpiration. Okay, why is this process of transpiration very important for the plant? Remember, first of all, this transpiration it's important by because it allows the plant to cool down. Okay, remember, evaporation causes cooling. You put some, nowadays obviously you are using a lot of hand sanitizers. When you put them and you rub it, what happens? The alcohol in your hand, the sanitizer, it quickly evaporates, but you feel a little cold, right? Why? Because the sanitizer जो है, it is taking heat that is present in your palm, in your body, and using that it is evaporating away. So it is causing you coolness. Okay, that's how the plant uses this process to cool down. Second is, it is able to lose excess water. Okay, it is able to excrete out excess water. This is one more way. Third, remember, this is responsible for something called as a suction pull. Have you ever wondered, the trees are so tall, right? How is water that we are giving to the roots, how is it able to reach such great heights? यहाँ तक कैसे पहुंच जाता है? How is it able to reach till leaves that are so tall, right? Why? Because remember, when this process of transpiration takes place, this creates a suction pull. So water from the bottom is drawn to the leaves. Let me draw a parallel so that you are able to understand this concept. Let's say there is this particular, Coke bottle, right? You are using a straw and you are trying to draw this. Okay, when you are sipping in, so what are you doing? You are creating a suction pull. This is what is pulling the Coke or whatever water or straw. This is a straw. Okay, through the straw you are able to drink this. So that is the same concept that is being applied over here also. When this water is getting evaporated away through the process of transpiration, a suction pull is created. Because of this, water from the depths near the root is able to reach great heights. Okay, so this is the process of transpiration. Alright, let me now talk about the other part, that is the root. Right, the roots, as you can see over here, this is the roots. Okay, so what are the various functions of the roots? Remember, roots help in holding the plant firmly to the soil. The plants, they don't go away. Why? Because of the presence of roots. They are said to anchor the plant to the soil. They are holding on to the ground, ensuring that the plant does not go away. It is holding the plant firmly to the soil. Okay, remember, roots, they penetrate into the soil. From the soil, they are picking up a lot of nutrients. Just like human beings require a lot of nutrients, plants also require a lot of nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, etc. These are also required by the plants. So where are these nutrients being picked up from? They are being picked up from the soil. Who's helping the plant pick these things up from the soil? It is thanks to the presence of roots. Okay, roots will pick them up and then it will be further given to different parts of the plant. Similarly, I just told you water is also taken up from the soil by the roots. Alright. Okay. There are different types of roots. If you have seen, you have something called as tap roots, right? You can see over here there is a single main root and there are these small branches. Okay, this is called as tap root. There is a main root, it's called as tap root, and the smaller ones that you can see over here that are branching out, these are called as lateral roots. Okay, while all the other roots, they similar, if they seem similar, for example you can see there is nothing called as a tap root, there is nothing called as a main root, right? This, if you pull out a grass from the bottom, you will see it has fibrous roots. Okay, just try to remember this name. Let's quickly talk about flowers. I will be elaborating on this concept when we take up class 7 NCERT, when we will be talking about reproduction in plants. It's a very crucial topic. Significant number of questions have been asked around it. The prominent parts of the flower, open flower, okay, you get to see these are called as petals, right? These are called as petals. These are called as petals of the flower. Then this small leaf-like structure that you can see over here, that has branched out over here, these are called as sepals. Okay, the green part, the leaf-like part of a flower, you can see over here also. Okay, these are called as sepals. Okay, different parts of the flower. Remember, we have something called as stamen. We have something called as pistil. Remember, flower is considered as the reproductive part of a plant. Right, reproductive part of a plant. It has these male parts, it is called as stamen. It has these female parts, it is called as pistil. I will tell you why so, how reproduction occurs in the following videos. Alright. Okay. So if you see, sometimes the plant can have both the male and female part. Sometimes the flower can have just the male part or just the female part. Okay. So anyway, so as you can see, this is an example of a bisexual flower. You can see there are stamen, there is also pistil. Right. So both the female and male parts are present in the same flower. Okay. So if you look at the male part, we have something called as anther. Right. This part is called as anther and this part is called as the filament. Okay. Anther pe remember these pollens form. Okay. These pollens form, right? Anyway, I'll tell you more about this. Similarly, this is the female part. Here you have stigma. Here you have style. This part is called as style. This part is called as stigma. And this part is called as ovary. Okay. Inside the ovary only, you have something called as the eggs. Okay. So the pollen has to meet the egg. That is when fertilization occurs and next generation can be born. Alright. So I'm going to stop here. So today we discussed some important topics from class 6 NCERT, which included a discussion on balanced diet, on nutrients, what happens when you have deficiency of nutrients. Then we started our discussion on plants, okay, and various parts of the plant. I gave you a very basic introduction about all of them. Over the period of time, we will be building pace, we will be talking about complicated things, and over the period of time, this will help you understand many discoveries that are being made. Alright. So that's all for now. I'm going to stop here right now and I will see you guys in the next video. So have a good day. Bye bye. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you.